Welcome to the Academy of Photography.
Exclusively on Fiverr.
The girl you just saw is on a website called the Fiverr, where people are doing stuff for you for $5. She's gonna eat a banana with your name on it for $5. If we contribute and we are going together into this, we can get her to eat 100 bananas in one day. Who's with me? Let's talk about photography. I'm Christian Tudor, and today I'm gonna present an entire wedding. I am answering to someone's request to present a complete example how a normal wedding day looks like. So I'm gonna present you as a desktop review. I'm gonna be on a computer, slightly different format than before, but I can promise you I'll go back. I chose an example where all the moments of the day have been covered, and you will see exactly the entire day. So I'm gonna go through a lot of pictures and talk about challenges, and it's probably gonna take a little bit longer than previously. If you're interested in wedding photography, you can watch it to the last minute. If you're not, probably it's gonna be a little bit boring for you. Let's have a look. Okay, I have jumped on my computer, and today I'm gonna go through an entire wedding. So someone asked me to present an entire job, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do today. Today it might take a while. It's gonna be more than 10 minutes, I would assume. I'm gonna go through 583 selected photos. So I want to tell you exactly what I've done, how long it took, and I will try to give you as much detail as possible so you can actually compare and see a real live sample how a wedding might take place, and all the challenges and every aspect of it. Now their name are Joe and Sylvia. They are from around. We are talking about Sydney, Australia, New South Wales, and the wedding took place in a satellite city of Sydney, which is Wollongong, probably 1 hour and a half of driving from my place down south. Joe and Sylvia have visited me a few months ago, and we discussed the wedding day in detail in my studio, and they were happy with the quality I have shown, and they purchased photography services, which is myself obviously, and also they employed me and for the video services, and that's a different matter. I had the videographer who is my business partner and my friend with me, and he took his video. Probably he's not gonna show up too much in the pictures. Obviously this is the final product you're gonna see now, and it's not about us, it's about them. So the wedding was for 10 hours, and we started at 12 at noon. We were lucky enough to have the bride and groom getting ready in the same place. The best thing, in my opinion, is to actually hire a room from their perspective. Instead of getting ready at home, it's much easier, there's no mess if they hire hotel rooms. So they hired two adjoining rooms, so the groom was in one room and the bride with the bridesmaids in the other. All the parents, all the bridal parties were present, so it was a very easy job. Most of the cases is if the groom wants me to cover his preparation first. Sometimes the problem is the groom is getting ready at his place, and it might take 1 hour drive until we get to the bride's preparation place, and that adds 1 hour to the day, and that adds some dead time. However, it's in their disadvantage because my fee is negotiated overall. It doesn't really matter, this is not about fees. Let's go back. So basically I'm gonna start. The images have been will be presented in the order they have been taken. It's not 100% correct. I had two cameras on me, and each camera gave me a bunch of pictures, and the Lightroom picks up the time when the photo was taken, and sometimes, you know, with an error of plus minus 3 minutes, we are about that. So I haven't started with this picture, but this showed up in Lightroom as the first. It doesn't really matter. Basically, we came into the room, presented ourselves. Obviously Joe knew me, but Joe didn't know my partner. So after the introduction and throwing some quickly few jokes around just to ease the situation, obviously much easier with the boys than the girls. There's always the awkward moment because we are new to the party and people are embarrassed, but with the boys it's much easier. So this is Joe with his father starting to get ready. He was waiting for us to start the process. So well, usually the rings are with the boys, so if I get a chance I always ask where are the rings, where are the shoes or anything that is used in a wedding. Focus on the rings. And this is an image taken by 24 to 70 Canon camera. Usually I use macro for this kind of shot. In this case I have used the 50mm 1.4. Forgot to mention, once we get into the room we packed our stuff. It takes 5 minutes for me to get both of the cameras on me with the right lenses. So I start, in this case I started with the 24 to 70 on my main camera. I have mentioned this in many videos. This is the main workhorse. And the second one, because this is a low light situation, indoor shooting, I choose the 50mm 1.4. Now I would be happy to use something wider, but I don't have another lens and I don't feel the need to purchase another lens. 50mm does it just fine. However, for this kind of shot, a 50mm 1.2 or 85mm 1.2 will be perfect because it's a low light situation. Anyway, we're gonna move on because I don't want to spend too much time and it's gonna become boring for you. Usually by the time the groom gets ready, we're not gonna shoot him in his underwear, or until, you know, where we don't want to show all the bits and pieces that he doesn't want to see later. We're just gonna let him get ready until he's decent. In the meantime, we take photographs with whoever is around, so individual shots, group shots, or whatever happens. Now this is, in my opinion, it's not that good of a picture in terms of lighting. Obviously I had to use the bounce flash. So in the in-light situation, when it's too dark, I use the bounce flash on the main camera, and that's exactly what happened. I forgot to mention that first of all, before we're gonna do this, I'm gonna go back a step. I'm gonna show you how the file looks like. So basically, once I download 2 folders of pictures, sorry about that, I should have started with this, but it's irrelevant. I have taken 1500 photos in that day, and this final selection was 583. And basically this is the first step. Once we got home, after the wedding, I download the photos and make a selection. I'm just gonna quickly show you roughly how it looks like. This is one of the files. Obviously 2 cameras will give me 2 different files. Sometimes the numbering system overlaps. I don't want to bother, I don't want to go to that. It's just easy. Download each camera, each card on a different folder. I do the selection. Once I export everything into JPEGs, raw file JPEGs. So what you see now on the screen are raw files. There's no post editing, and basically you will see probably five shots of everything: portrait, landscape, close-up, and distance. So this is how I shoot. I've mentioned that many times. This is the best way to get the shot. If you miss once in a while, it's not gonna matter, because out of 1500 shots, definitely you're gonna get a lot of good ones. This is an example of the same thing with a lot of trials. I'm gonna make them smaller so you can have an idea. This is the second card. So I name my file raw 2. So I have raw 1 and raw 2. Again, 700 here, 700 there, that's about it. Anyway, I'm gonna go back now. Out of this, I'm just gonna select the best ones, and usually I'm talking about for a wedding between 400 and 700 photos. I'm gonna close that off, going back, and everything happens. I mentioned part of my my process is to get all the raw files into high resolution JPEGs, and I work with JPEGs. I'm not gonna go back through that. Why? In Lightroom, working with JPEGs takes half of the time to work with a half size file, and I found that the result is slightly better. It takes a long time to work with all the raw files in the same time. Imagine you're trying to import 600 photos of 21 megapixels, and if you have a better camera, maybe more. Your computer must be ready to do a good job. Now with JPEGs, you're gonna do that in half of the time, because it does take a little bit of time to process the file. So for me, it's important to have only a few seconds per image. If it doesn't go less than 1 or 2 seconds per image, I'm gonna waste time. Anyway, I spoke about that. Let's go back, and I'm gonna continue with the series of photos. Groom preparation, try to cover all the moments, and this is what I was talking about. Macro shot, always impressive for most of the people who do not have a macro shot. When they see this shot, they're always impressed. If you're a photographer and you're used to this, you probably are not, because obviously you know what you're doing. But let me tell you, 99% of the people getting married are not necessarily photographers, so there's always something impressive when you present them pictures they can't take by themselves. Another classic shot. So if this doesn't happen, you may ask the groomsmen just to do a mock-up, but this does happen in most of the cases. The groomsmen are helping the groom to get ready. That's why I picked this wedding, because it does cover almost all the moments. I don't do the groom preparation at all weddings. That depends on their choices and on their fees and the hours and all of that. It doesn't really matter. Moving on. Various photos, so you shoot as much as you can, and even or some of these photos are not special at all, it will add value to the package. And this is just an attempt to get the groom to pose a little bit. And another classic, you can see actually my videographer in the mirror. Another classic is try to shoot through the mirror, and always get portraits, individual portraits of everyone, and try to get groups and portraits, and you will be covered. As many variations as you can. Important moment, groom with the mother, don't forget to cover that, and all the important bits. Okay, things are getting repetitive here. We are moving to the bride. Same thing. Bride, you need to allow the bride to get ready until she's decent. Usually I ask her to wait for me to get the dress on. In this case, the dress was already on, but sometimes, you know, tightening up the final knots of the dress, it's an important moment. Or the shoes, when the bride is helped by the bridesmaid getting the shoes on. Anyway, various shots, so keep shooting constantly. This is what I'm talking about. Lightroom did not pick up the right time for the shot, and these photos are popping up. As mentioned before, these photos are ordered by the time of the capture, but it's not really important. Bride again, black and white, color, and various effects. Now depends on the day, nothing special, just keep shooting and you'll be alright. Always shooting against the light, so just wanted to say something. I am trying to go next to the window and shoot back, so I have the light behind me, but there's always opportunities when you have to shoot against the light, and that's why you expose, in this case for the bride, and have everything blown out. Classic shot, mentioned before, depends on your personal preference how you want to approach this. You can expose for the dress, or you want to expose for the light, for the window. I want to see I want to be somewhere in between, so you get this moody shot and you still see something. This is not about the detail, this is about the artistic effect. A little bit tilted, it doesn't really matter. The bride absolutely loves it. Again, you can see this one, it's slightly out of focus, but because she gets 500 photos, she's not gonna she's not gonna be unhappy, because she gets many other photos which are 100% in focus. Classic shot, several variations. Now these shots, because are against the window, I'm not 100% happy with them, the way they come out, because I have to use the flash. There's no way around it. I'm talking about not being happy, not because it's a bad shot, it's because I like the artistic moody pictures. In this case, I do not have a choice but use the flash. Trying to avoid it, I have mentioned it before many times, I'm trying to avoid using the flash indoors. Back again, obviously the bridesmaids play a role in the process, and never forget to cover everyone. This is just a trial with a filter, a cold filter. This is a 50mm 1.4. One of the classic shots, if you have a couch in the room, I always like to do that. I always like to get the bride by herself on a couch or on a lounge and try to get some moody pictures. This is closer to the raw file. I usually like to get this one done in black and white, but if I get 5 shots of everything, the bride will be happy if she has the choice of getting more than one shot. Again, a little bit of cropping, always a classic. Get the bride to look through the window, go next to the window and shoot along it. You're gonna have a nice soft light. I use the 24-70 for a portrait, and also the 50mm. Again, sometimes if I still have the macro lens on, I will do it. It's very difficult to get a nice shot inside in a small space with a telephoto, so the telephoto will come in play a bit later. Playing with the flowers, parents are coming into the scene. Never be afraid to get the classic shots. They're gonna love it. They have to remember it's not about me, it's about them. Even if it's a simple posing, you have to cover all the aspects. So this is the main bread and butter of a wedding. You need to give the couple all the memories they need, and if you have the chance and you have the skill to go beyond that and get the artistic edge to it, that should be on top. I would not limit the entire wedding to one style of shooting. For example, this one, I absolutely love it. The focus is on the parents, and the bride is out of focus. I personally love it. This one is about the parents, and this is for them, and they're gonna remember the moment differently. Obviously, this is a classic one, going back few steps, but never be afraid to try to change a little bit the angle and try to get outside the box. Again, moments with the bridesmaids. Always get some moments with the bride on the bed, in this case, and you might end up with some sexy results, and she's gonna love it. I am always trying to get this shot with the bridesmaids on their bellies, on the facing me, and if I have the window behind me, that's even better. Variations. Another variation, slightly different focus point, and this is for her. Moving on, because you end up with a lot of shots. For example, I probably could have given her 20 shots, but because they are the same, there's no added value. I rather limit it to 2 or 3, and sometimes give them just a variation in terms of post editing. Okay, we have covered the preparation. Now the next step, we pack up and go to the church, and we're trying to get ready. In this case, to a church or any other place of ceremony, you need to get ready. Especially now, I'm with the videographer. He has 2 cameras. He needs to set up, microphones and all of stuff. all of that. He needs to actually we need to speak with the priest or the celebrant or whatever, and there's a bit of organization, so we need to be half an hour there. At least 10 minutes we want to be there to capture the groom waiting. So give yourself a bit of time to get the place of celebration, even if it's a church, outdoors, whatever, it doesn't matter, the place where the ceremony is gonna take place. Okay, continuing with the ceremony, I just had a quick 5 minutes break. I saw that I already covered 18 minutes, so probably it's gonna take longer than half an hour than I expected. I still have a long way to go. Cars have arrived, as you can see. Now, in the time you're waiting for the bride to arrive, it's a good time to get some candid shots with people waiting or people approaching the location. There's always guests, some close-ups with various objects that play a part in the day. Anyway, the car have arrived, and get ready to get various shots. At this time I have the 24 to 70 as usual, so I don't want to even mention it because I don't want to repeat myself too many times. That's the main camera, and the second camera I switch it with the 70 to 200 2.8, so I can actually have the ability to shoot from a distance. Bride getting out of the car, bride being escorted out of the car, whoever does that. Again, sorry for the error I mentioned before. There's a little bit of error in the time of getting the shots because of the two cameras. This is a good time to get some candid shots with various people waiting. Anyway, coming back, bride is out. He's my videographer. I'm gonna talk about a very good and interesting way to shoot with the camera video. He has a 70D. We have that. We have purchased that a while ago. That's the best choice in terms of a DSLR, but I'm gonna talk about that in a different video. And as you can see him holding a sliding aluminum piece or metal piece, that is the best stabilization system. I'm not gonna go through that now. I'm gonna talk about that in a different video because that's very interesting. Anyway, moving on, we are covering the approach, and I walk with her and I run in front of her just to make sure I cover the entry of the page boy and the flower girl and also bridesmaids. So I make sure I have a few minutes in advance so I can put myself into the position so I can cover the entry. Now, having two cameras, I have to take photos of the groom waiting as well. That's very important. Always having two cameras really helps. I will never shoot without two cameras anymore. When I had only one camera, I did have a problem. Having two cameras, one telephoto and one wide, that's the way to go. So if you wanna do performance and you wanna cover as many angles as you can, that's the way to go. Always carry a second body on you with a secondary lens. Anyway, in this case a ceremony took an hour, so plenty of time for me to move in all the angles possible. Make sure you have the understanding with the priest or the celebrant. Sometimes moving in the church, depending on the religion, obviously I have covered all sorts of religions, all sorts of ceremonies. Sometimes you're allowed to move, sometimes you're not, so you need to make sure you're in sync with the priest and the celebrant so you don't do something which is not desirable. Variations: wide telephoto from behind, from the side, and I always like to put the camera on the floor so I get some sort of a nice effect like this. This is a church. We were talking about symmetry in one of the compositions. That's the best way to use the symmetry. I would not try to get this one of the rule of thirds. It doesn't make any sense. This is about them and the symmetry of the church. This is the best use for that. If the church has also a balcony, I always go above and take some interesting shots from a different angle. Now if you can pick up, my videographer has a camcorder and he's on the left hand side, as you can see him here, and also has a DSLR. That's the best way to go. I'm gonna talk about videos separately. Different shots and different moments. That's my timing error again in between the two cameras, and now because I see this, I'm gonna actually reset the time on both of them to make sure they are in sync. And you move around as much as you can, as much as the space allows you. On this one, it's a very dark church. ISO is the only one who actually will help you get the shots. You can't use flash and the 2.8 aperture, and you have a good camera that will compensate with a higher ISO. Still a very good result. I'm not sure if I can actually see this. ISO 1600, going back a step, ISO 800, and I never shoot slower than 1/25 of a second. That's my personal choice. Other people might differ in this choice, but 1/25 of a second will ensure that I have a sharp image. I freeze the movement, and if it's not sharp, that start to speed this up, trying to catch as much as you can. So within 1 hour I probably take a few hundred photos in all the positions possible, so you can have the choice to select the best ones and give it to them. All the images coming from my 24-70 are the sharpest images. Always important, if you can position yourself in a place where you can see every day of working. For them it's very important. It's a very important day. Definitely they feel differently than you, because this is your job as a wedding photographer. For them it's special, for you it's just another day at the office. However, there's a lot of emotion almost all the time, not almost, in most of the cases. Okay, the ceremony finishes and they go out. You need to go outside, and in this moment you are stepping outside the low light condition into full sunlight, into full daylight. So you need to be ready to change your settings. Now I'm still on the time priority probably here. I'm gonna have a look. ISO 100, 34mm, f 5.6, 1/25 of a second. Because I allow here the ISO on automatic, I keep the time priority 1/25. I don't have to worry about anything else. Just make sure you focus on their faces and you'll be alright. Make sure you get them to kiss. If you miss the kiss, just stop them. They're not gonna be upset about that. Alright, now it's the time. What I do here is I switch my camera from 21 megapixel to 10 megapixel. There will be a lot of candid shots in this moment. You need to give them the space and start to step away from the moment, and you can do a photojournalistic candid style. So I don't interfere. I let them to be congratulated by everyone else. There will be a lot of shots here. Anyway, again, few pics inside the church coming back. Gonna speed this up. This is the moment you can use your telephoto, so there will be plenty of moments. If people are posing for the shots, I like to step in and take a shot myself, because you're not the only one who has cameras there, and there will be people taking photos for Facebook or whatever. But someone poses, I just step in and take a good shot. So plenty of candid moments. Again, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit, and there will be hundreds of them, and not all of them will be good, obviously, because I shoot a lot, and sometimes people have closed eyes. Anyway, now, already mentioned, it's your responsibility to arrange people into a group. In this case, it's a smaller group at the church. There will be a large group in the reception, and I always ask them to give me a loud hey, and this way they relax and they're starting to enjoy. always throwing few jokes, and it's virtually impossible to get everyone in the shot, but I do the best as I can. Because you don't want to have to fill up your hard drive and their hard drive with shots that they will never enlarge. The important ones are maximum resolution. If it's just candid shots or various ones, the resolution can be a little bit lower. I don't think they will ever enlarge this picture, but this one they might. So now it's the time to get the group shots. So make sure you get both sides of the family in all the combinations. You need to discuss that with the couple, which one is which. Choose the best light and choose the best location. Sometimes it's difficult to get a appropriate background, and just make sure you give those shots. Even some people say this is posed and cheesy and whatnot. These are important shots, and these shots will help them remember their bridesmaids, their friends, and in 30 years time they will look at these shots and they will appreciate them more. Just candid shots will not do the trick. So it's important to have the individual groups, and you need to work it out who's who, and you need to get them to help you. Also, I always try to have a little bit of fun if possible, not all the time. Depends on the father and the bride. And this is what I'm talking about. My computer, it still takes a little bit of to load this picture. Even if it's a JPEG half of the size, it does take a few seconds to load it to actually can work on it. So now it's just a preview. It took 2 seconds to get it right, so I can actually work on it. If I would work on RAW, that will take double, and it will be a much slower process. And remember, it is very important to optimize your process, because you are operating a business and your hours will count. Again, groom and the father, groom and the mother. Now we are switching to the most important, the most interesting, and the most artistic challenge of the day is the location shoot. Once all the photos are done in front of the celebration, couple choose, and I always advise to allow at least 2 hours for location shoot, so we can go together. We take the bridesmaids and the parents, sometimes all, sometimes less. It's up to them, and we go to a park or whatever, and we're trying to get as much as we can. Now you'll recognize some of the shots are standard, some of the shots are improvised. Every couple is different. Just make sure you get 40 to 50 ideas in your head, and you make sure you apply at least half of them. You'll never be able to do everything at every time, because people are different. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So try to see the other videos about posing and about the individual couple shots. Again, I get a lot of this shot, bridal lineup, walking. In this case, you get them to walk. Because we're doing video as well, we are doing a little bit more. Classic shot, always I'm asking my couple to do the dip, and I shoot along a footpath, and the dip comes differently. Sometimes I just need to explain it, because not everyone has my own perception, and I need to actually show the dip. So yeah, it's a bit difficult. Sometimes I grab my videographer and we'll do a man-to-man dip. That's always funny. So a few variations, and something like this I can I would, if I would be them, I would probably choose this for an enlargement or a frame picture, because that's the artistic part. And again, it's your direction. It's important how you ask them to do things for you, and the result will be according to your input. Same thing, variations. Sometimes I just ask them to give me a run, and it's always funny. Alright, you are probably already familiar with the depth of field shots. Again, sometimes you don't have to arrange people like on a shelf. Okay, I'm gonna speed this up. Another idea, you're trying to shoot from under the veil, and you get some interesting angles. So this is a shot from below up, and always be prepared to do some candid shots. And another one, a bride with the bridesmaids, depth of field effect, groom, and again be ready to shoot at all times. Now in this case we have moved from a park closer to the water, and for the water I've already shown a lot of shots. In this case I always use the rule of thirds and do a lot of variations, closer, wider, and because in this case parents are with us, we make sure we do another session with them as well. I was in the neighborhood of something industrial. I always love the rough industrial feel, and this is just a chain wire mesh fence. Another play, get them to jump, get them to laugh, and use the best backgrounds you can see around. Concrete, I love the concrete. It brings a lot of texture. This is one of the classic composition. You can see three elements here. That's already a rhythm, and she's in the rule of thirds, classic composition. If you follow this, you're not gonna have any issues. For me, it's already a reflex. I don't have to think about it. Sometimes you ask her to look down, look at the flowers, look at her ring, and try to do some crops. Now this picture started to become one of my standard shots. So what I do, manual mode, you get the flash wireless. In this case, one bridesmaid holds the flash. I don't have to carry the tripod with me. I already carry too much equipment, so a tripod is actually not useful for me, and I don't use it. So manual mode, shoot against the flash, and you set up whatever you need to set up in order to see something like that. I will give you the example. ISO is 100, 135 mil. This is taken with a telephoto 70 to 200, f19, and 1/80th of a second. So basically what I do, I am in manual mode for this one, because you can't do it with anything else. So you play with the aperture and time shutter speed until you get the result you want. Other variations, that's another variation. So within half an hour on each location you should be able to have 50 to 100 shots, and you play all the combinations you can. Now I always ask the bride and groom just to walk slowly to this is a landmark. This is one of the old lighthouses. Always in this location you will see couples. Sometimes couples are waiting for each other to finish. You will see photographers at every weekend. Another classic, another deep, and you get to play. And if I see walls like that, I made another video talking about texture. So I love textures, especially if they are old and rusty. I see value in this kind of landscape. I see a lot of people avoiding them. I'm actually looking for this. I absolutely love the idea and the feel of the picture. And again, because I take 5 shots of everything, I always have plenty of variations to choose from, and play with various color effects. And this is done in Lightroom, just applying filters. On the website, the Academy of Photography, you will find a lot of filters that I use. You can download them for free. So if you haven't done so and you're interested, just check it out. It's easy. You will find it on the free download section. Line up. Now in this case, this is just a one of those moments that you can plan. The bride saw some life-saving members, surfers, whatever you want to call them, and she thought it was funny to actually get them in the picture. I thought that too, and not sure what groom felt. Anyway, I thought it was funny. Again, this is a little bit of post-editing. a strong vignette. It's one of those filters. I love the old shack feel. Rule of thirds, and you play as much as you can, left and right, close-ups and wide angles. So you play as much as you can. This is one of the shots. I've never done this. The bride asked for it and I was happy to do so, and I'm pretty sure the guys enjoyed the idea as well, as you can probably see. Now, bride with the car. I always take this shot so I get the bride to look through the window and have a rest and look at me. Used my flash inside the car and used the manual mode. So basically I flash them, everything is underexposed, but their faces and someone is holding the flash inside the car. I think it's interesting. Now this is the classic lighthouse, and that's a landmark that everyone goes to. And for this one, we're not talking about details, it's just the dramatic effect. And for this landscape, having some clouds, it's always working really well. So I make sure I take a lot of photos so I can choose from. Rule of thirds, and I absolutely love. Just give it a second. Even if I don't see all the details, it's not about that. You'll see my videographer doing a slide move here. Rule of thirds, I just took it because I took it. I can't explain everything. Variations and variations. Sometimes something funny, so if you feel like goofing around, or if they feel like goofing around, whoever takes the initiative, it doesn't really matter. So if you can get the chance to get some interesting shots, never hesitate, always keep shooting because you're gonna get something good. Okay, moving on. Probably took 2 hours, 1 or 2 hours to do the location shoot, and I can tell you from now, people are getting tired. So you are getting tired, I'm getting tired, and this is already about 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon. And at any wedding, I actually never have half an hour break to do something. I always follow the action, and there's no break. A little bit more. Now we are going to the reception. So the reception place was not very far away. Took 15 minutes to get there. So before people get in, I make myself accustomed to the room, take some individual shots with nobody, and you photograph whatever it's an arrangement for the day, and they'll appreciate it. This is 14th of February, so not a long time ago. This is the Valentine's Day, and it was a Friday. It was chosen especially for the significance, and also I believe they have met a few years ago on that day, so this day has double significance for them. Anyway, moving on, all the details, they put a lot of preparation into this, and I'm sure they'll appreciate and they will remember because all the details have been thought about. So shots with whatever you can find. And now it's the easy part of the day when you can switch your camera on automatic, sorry, not on automatic, on manual mode. You assess where the ceiling is, and you have to use the flash with the towards the ceiling, and use the bounce light. And I usually lift the bounce card so I can actually have some light towards the subject. I spoke about that in different videos, and I still carry the camera, the 50mm camera. This is taken with a 50mm. It's f1.4, 1/25th of a second, and I allow ISO to go automatic. Now we're talking about the entries, so after 20 minutes, half an hour, or that depends, everyone gets inside. So people are announced, they are entering the room. So in this case, I can tell you something. I'm trying to limit the flash to a fourth of the power or second of the power. This entry happens very fast, and if you use full power, your flash is not gonna have time to recharge itself, and that's why I use the battery pack. So if I set up the camera and I actually increase the ISO in manual mode, I have a lower power flash, and I can basically shoot a few times in the a 1 second interval, and the flash recharges itself very fast. Remember, you don't want to abuse your flash because you're gonna damage it, so make sure you use it smart, and reducing the flash power will preserve the battery and it will allow you to shoot for longer. So flash power a quarter, manual mode for the camera ISO 500, in this case 24mm, f4, 1/25 of a second. This is manual. The camera stays like that for the entire reception, maybe slight variations. Okay, this is the entrance. See, this is becoming a little bit annoying because it needs to few seconds to load the picture, and you'll always have the impression this is a blurry picture, but the images are quite sharp. In this case, the couple started with a dance, and it's not typical, but it doesn't matter. There are various people with various traditions and various desires, so they started with a dance. This is a 50mm 1.4. No, it's actually a slow. It's a slow shutter speed with the main camera. Now this is the 50mm one. Because I carry both of the cameras, I get a chance to have also the natural environmental light. Anyway, I'm gonna move faster. Now everything becomes easier. It's standard table shots, so I don't use the 50mm anymore. The second camera goes into the bag, and I use only one camera. I don't need the second one. Just standard shots. Light bounced off the ceiling, and in this case, as you can see behind, the windows are on the side, and shooting against those windows will cause problems. That's why the camera is always in manual, and I rely on my own light. And this is basically it. Add a few hundreds of photos like this for 4 hours, and just make sure you put yourself you make yourself available to the couple and take individual shots, and just walk around, talk to people, take candid shots or table shots. I always ask the couple if they want to walk with me. We do table shots, or I can do table shots by myself. Everyone is different. Sometimes they want to do that, sometimes they don't want. So after getting into the reception, these kind of shots are coming in the hundreds. Always there was no cake, there was just a white chocolate display. Anyway, now coming back on Dick and Curtain scene. So this is just artistic. I get also some clear shots, but I think these are more artistic and moodier, or more moody. So from now on, whatever happens, just take the shots, and probably a couple of hundreds of shots will be a result of that. So nothing special so far, so to say. Not gonna go through that. Now sometimes you just stop and try to do an artistic shot, and sometimes if the environment is interesting, I can get the couple to do a session. If the venue is interesting and there are some interesting spotlights, which in this case we didn't have, I do probably 5-10 minutes location session indoors and with the 50mm 1.4, and get something interesting if there's a bar or something. Now one of the things that we do as a team, we do interviews. Now this is something that not a lot of videographers are doing, so just walking around and interviewing people. I'm not gonna go through that now because we are talking about photography, not video. Okay, I think that's about it for the time being in terms of what they do. So party shots, and whatever happens happens. Obviously always there's the throwing at the bouquet, so you make sure you do some tests before she throws it, because she's gonna throw it only once and you wanna keep it, you wanna capture it in the air. Manual mode, flash, and you'll get this result. Also the groom is gonna throw the gata, and he's gonna throw it, and the single boys are gonna catch it. Same thing. Okay, that's about it. Now I want to finish this video today with the facts. So how I do the entire editing. The entire editing, as mentioned before, goes through the selection of the pictures, download the pictures, make sure you pack them up, you put them into the folder, whatever you want to do. Working with raw files, the discussion between raw and JPEGs is not for today, but obviously should raw, because you have more information. Unfortunately, within 10 weddings I fill up my hard drive. Another 10 weddings I have to download all of them, and I have 5 to 10 external hard drives floating around, because I shoot everything in raw. 90% are raw, 21 megapixels 5D Mark IIs, so my hard drives are filling very fast. And once I do the selection from 1500 photos, I go to select the best 500 to 700 out of them, and I export them into JPEGs. With the JPEGs I import them into the Lightroom, and I apply, once I do the import in one go, I apply a vignette and I increase the vibrance. Very interesting, this vibrance. I'll give you an example. The vibrance makes a big difference. I'm just gonna pick a random shot, for example this one. No, actually let's pick this one up. I'm gonna reset so I can show you the raw picture that comes from the camera, and once I apply the vibrance, the red becomes redder. You can't see it here. I increase the blacks and I apply a vignette, which is on this side. It gives me a stronger image. So I apply for that for all of them, and I modify only the ones that I believe they will be more interesting in black and white or in a vintage mode. Now, working with the post-editing, sometimes I get bored of one style and I choose another. Like any other, let's call ourselves artist, you will have different opinions in different times. You'll never have the same opinion all day long, all the time, sorry. But for example, this one is a fashion style effect. I've got here a few templates. They are already part of that folder, which is available for download. Sometimes I get bored of this style, but sometimes I like it because it gives me a little bit of a vintage effect. Vintage. I'll give you another example here. I can play with color creative yesterday, so that means sometimes I just love this 60s 70s old photo style, like they are aging in your cupboard sometimes, but always keep the basis just a full color, and if you have additional pictures of the same pose, you play with additional color effects. Sometimes your clients might not like it. That's why you give them the options, is you give them 3 shots of the same thing, not exactly that happy. Okay, once I have finished my editing process, which takes me a few good hours, as mentioned before, from an 8-hour exercise I have managed to decrease it to 2 hours, which is very efficient. I export them into a file, put them on a disk, put them on a disc and send it to them together with the prints. I always include as a standard few hundred prints, depends on the size of the wedding. I give them 100, 200, 300 prints. It doesn't really matter, that's not the point. So I give them the prints and the discs or a USB and post them. That's about it. This is the entire wedding. I hope you enjoy this. Maybe you can pick up. If you have any questions, do not forget to, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send us an email. Sorry, I'm just at the end, so I'm getting a bit tired. I wanna go with you through give me a second. I just want to show you the website where we are today. So if in case you haven't done already so, just check out the website. You can subscribe here as well, so you'll receive the newsletter in this section. Also, for all of you who are beginners and you end up here for the first time, you can go through the lessons on the left hand side. So within a click you can pick your favorite subject and you'll find articles and tutorials on that specific topic. So all the information you can find is here within 1 or 2 clicks, and it's organized in such a way you can find it very easy. Also, you can actually search something on a specific topic. Feel free to have a browse, and also for those of you who wish to become a member, you will find the conditions of becoming a member. You will receive a badge, and you'll be part of our growing community. I think that's enough for today. I spoke too much. I'll let you go, and until I see you next time, I wish you happy shooting. Thank you.